At estimates in May 2023, the AFP was asked, prior to the ABC report in September 2018, did the AFP inform the then Minister for Home Affairs, Peter Dutton, or his office it was investigating Mr Bajani and Radiance International Incorporated for foreign bribery? You responded in a question on notice that stated that the AFP Acting Commissioner provided a verbal briefing on the investigation to the then Minister for Home Affairs on or around 12 July 2018. On Monday, Mr Dutton said he'd reviewed his records and he said that he does not believe he was ever briefed by the AFP about Mr Bajani. Can the AFP please clarify for the committee if Mr Dutton was briefed by the AFP about an investigation into Mr Bajani?
Thank you, Senator. I will have Chief Police Officer Neil Gagan answer that, given that he was at that meeting.
Thanks, Senator. Neil Gagan, Chief Police Officer of the Australian Capital Territory. As the Commissioner has just stated, Senator, I was actually at the meeting with a number of other individuals. I confirm that a briefing on foreign bribery matter was undertaken with the then Minister for Home Affairs on the 12th of July 2018. However, I note that after a recent release of a question on notice from the AFP, which you've alluded to, there has been some misreporting and commentary that Mr Dutton was informed by the AFP that a then person of interest, Majami Bajani, or company Radiance International, was under investigation. To be clear, that is not correct.
So, before you go on, the answer to the question on notice that the AFP provided was not correct.
Yeah, I think, Senator, we accept the question on notice about this matter submitted earlier should have been used tighter language to avoid a misunderstanding, and I'll explain reasons why about that.
Before you do, when did you first become aware that the answer that the AFP gave on notice was not correct?
When we did a further research of our records and ascertained that, look, putting in keywords such as Nauru, we became aware of the fact that it was incorrect. So
when?
I'll have to take that on notice. I don't have that information in front of me.
Last week?
We'll be able to get that for you before this session is concluded.
In the last week, in the last month, in the last few days? Give me a ballpark.
Within the last month.
Right. Do you understand your obligations as a witness before a Senate committee to provide accurate information
Absolutely.
and to correct the record if you've provided incorrect information?
That's what I'm doing now, Senator.
Do you understand that it's your obligation to correct the record as soon as you become aware that you gave false information to the committee?
We are.
Why did you not provide this update sooner if you're aware sooner?
Well, we're doing it now, Senator.
No, you're only doing it because I've asked you to. Had I not asked you to, would you have ever updated the committee?
Absolutely.
When would you have done so?
We would have done it within the next few days, Senator.
Well, an opening statement would have been a good opportunity to do it. As Senator Shoebridge interjects, you're providing an update on a lot of other matters. You're aware that you gave incorrect information to a Senate committee and you didn't choose to do so in the opening statement, Commissioner?
No, Senator. I think, without going into too much detail, it actually, we had to go wider than our own agency on this, Holdings, and that's how we discovered some additional material.
I hope you would have done so on the first occasion that you're answering a question about it, not only after it became a contentious issue in the media.
I think, as we said, we could have used what we'd say, tighter language, and we relied on supplementary information that actually came from another department as well.
That's correct.
So the public speculation, which we've had for about 2 weeks now, that the Minister for Home Affairs was briefed specifically about an individual who was under investigation, was not true.
That's correct.
And the AFP would have observed that media coverage. You didn't want to put out a statement. You didn't want to write to the committee.
Well, I won't speak for the Commissioner, but he has met with the opposition leader.
Well, I'm sure Mr Dutton's grateful that he's had that update directly, but your obligation is not just to him. In fact, your primary obligation is to the Senate, and you haven't fulfilled it.
Well, respectfully, I disagree. We have.
Only now that I've asked you about it. Had I not asked you about it, when would we have known?
Well, we're saying it right now, so I think that's...
A couple of days, that's what they said.
Senator Shoebridge, interjections are disorderly.
Yeah. What prevented you from updating the committee earlier?
Well, again, Senator, we're required to make sure that everything we say, given the sensitivities around these issues, that it's 100% correct. So we've been checking everything, all of our records, noting that there's ex-members who were there, as well. I wasn't there. This is 5 years ago, and we made the decision to make sure that we got this 100% correct.
But you've just answered my question now, so you're obviously confident it is correct. So there was no barrier to answering the question now. Did that really just materialise this morning before the committee, or have you known for it some time, given you briefed Mr Dutton?
This week we were able to establish that.
Okay. Can I ask you to reflect on the future and the way in which you engage with the Senate and its committees, that if you have given false information to the committee, even if it's inadvertent or innocent, which I accept it probably was in this instance, I don't think you would have deliberately given the false information.
It wasn't false information.
I'd take you on that, Commissioner, but the first opportunity you have to correct the record, you must do so. Okay. Thank you.